one, and so it's brought some light in my family. Not that there was darkness, but my two older sons, my middle son Crew and my older son Isaac, both just love him to death. And my dog Abe and my cat Kitty's just, it's pretty awesome. My wife's going to school to be an English teacher, and I'm a high school wrestling coach for Mountain View High School in Orem, Utah. So I have a lot going on, and I'm just grateful, and I'm in a good place. I have great training partners. I feel as strong as I've ever felt. Like at this training camp 2 weeks ago, I did a 500-pound deadlift for 4 reps, and still did the explosive training and the stuff that they helped me out with at the PI and at Landau Performance. And I just, I feel really good. I've got an Olympic level wrestler that helps me get ready, Justin Ruiz. I have great training partners. I couldn't be more grateful.
Awesome, and congratulations on the new baby.
Yeah.
The broadcast said that it's probably, you look the best you've ever looked, and I agree, man. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I caught him right at the end of the first round, and I feel like I could have, went back to the striking, but I was having success on the inside. I felt like I was heavy on him. I did take a knee or two and got in a few tight positions. The guillotine at the end in the third round, I had my elbow in, so I felt safe there. I felt like I wasn't going to give up position, and I wasn't going to get submitted, and eventually pop the head out and, trap the arm and land a few shots and see if I could get the arm triangle or get a submission and get a finish. But they seem to all be really tough.
Do you think people overlook you because you went on that 3-fight skid?
I think so. I've had so many questions, and I've thought about stuff, and so I wrote out my whole career. And it's I think that was my 35th fight, and I count the 4 fights I had in the Ultimate Fighter house. So that was my 23rd UFC fight. I don't care what anybody says. My biggest fear is not competing to my best potential. And I haven't ever left and thought, man, I didn't put everything into that. I thought, I could change this and do that and nitpick a few things. But it's everything's coming together. And I have a case of the efforts, I guess you could say. I had a conversation with my neighbor about a year ago, Mariana. She's across the street. And she's she was a theater teacher for 30 years or something. And she said, maybe you need, because you're such a nice guy, maybe you need to just build a stage character, the Crusher, and be the Crusher for 15 minutes. And that's the only thing I could think when I came out against Claudio Silva. And he was, the guy's a world champion in jiu-jitsu. And I just thought, you know what? Jake Shields caught me a couple of times in a 10-year period, but I don't get caught that often, and I have great training partners. There's a mecca of jiu-jitsu in Utah. A lot of people don't know that, but Pedro Sauer started in the 80s in Provo, Utah. And so we have an abundance of black belts, including Dana Aristizabal, my teammate and training partner for 15 years. He's his 3-stripe black belt under Pedro. He's phenomenal. He's one of the most dangerous guys there is. And it's I'm not over the hill. I feel like I'm in my prime. Like Mike Bisbeen, man, at 36, 37 years old, the dude came back and was on fire, and everybody counted him out. I didn't, I always loved him, and man, he brought the fight every time. And I would look up to that and think, man, you know what? I have it in me, and I feel it in the gym. I feel it with training partners. I feel it with teammates, and I feel it when I'm fighting, and I had 6 controversial decision losses. I've walked in the back a couple of times where, 15 people said, man, I thought you had that. I thought you had that. And it's just too close, and you leave it in the hands of the judges, and that can happen. And it happens all the time. And it's upsetting, but I don't take it to heart. I say, okay, what do I need to do to get better? What do I need to do to improve? And if that improvement's just a little bit, then I make those small improvements. I make those sacrifices, and I do what I need to do, whether I'm training in my basement or I'm training at the best gym in the country. It doesn't matter. So
The contrary team also said that only you and Brad Tavares are left from that.
me and Brad Tavares, baby. I love that dude.
How does that make you feel?
I feel proud. I feel proud. I've said it over and over that, we had one of the toughest houses. And I know there was a lot of tough houses, but, I mean, my toughest fight was Seth Baczynski, my fight to get in the house. And I've told that to everybody. And my fight with Seth Baczynski was the toughest fight I've ever had. I remember I got dropped, and, Mike Tyson was right there. And I remember Tito Ortiz saying, "He's gassed." But I just double-legged him, and I landed on his knee. And when I overdosed on heroin September 9th, 2005, they did CPR, and they broke my sternum. I broke my sternum taking him down. I landed on his knee, and so I couldn't breathe. And I look over, and I was like, "I'm not gassed. I'm not gassed. My chest hurts." And then I ended up winning, and they're like, "How do you feel?" And I was like, "I feel great." And then I didn't tell anybody because they kicked 2 people out of the house because they got injured. And I was like, well, I'm going to wear a shirt. Man, I had a bruise all down my chest, but I didn't fight till 19 days later, and I fought Nick Ring. And I lost a controversial decision, and I was brought back, and I ended up finishing the next 3 guys. But, it's just me and Brad are hanging tough, And I'm proud to say that I'm part of that season. And having a legend like Chuck Liddell as a coach and John Hackelman. John's not in my corner right here, but I can hear him when I'm out there fighting. All the coaches that I've had, Sammy Henson, the late Howard Davis, Mark Montoya, Rob Handley. There's been so many, Aldo Areja. I've had so many great coaches and mentors and training partners, and I couldn't be more grateful for the journey that I've had so far. And like they say, it's just begun.
For sure. Do you want another one this year?
Yes, yeah, I do want another one this year. I'm excited to finish out the wrestling season. This is my first year officially as a high school wrestling coach. I'm the assistant over the all-girls team. We have 14 awesome girls that are wrestling and doing fantastic things. My son, he's a freshman. He's in the middle school, but he's wrestling for the high school. And he's doing great, and I get to be a part of his journey, and I get to coach all the other kids, the JV and the varsity kids, and I get to go to tournaments, and it's just, I'm so grateful. So we're getting another one.
Is there anybody that you would like to fight?
No, I haven't thought about it. I'm just, on to the next one. Anytime I get the call, I answer the call, and it don't matter if it's the toughest guy, the tough guy that nobody wants to fight, the undefeated newcomer guy, or the old gritty veteran. It's bring it on, and I'll find a way to win.
And finally, for me, how do you maintain that great beard of yours?
Well, it's funny. Me and my wife have been together, not married for 23 years, but we've been together for 23 years. And my oldest son, he's 14, so we had a baby blessing. I married into an LDS family, and so we had a baby blessing. She said, "Will you trim that?" And I trimmed it a little too short and shaved it off. And she's like, "Grow that back." And so ever since high school, I've had a beard. And so my sons have never seen me without a beard except for a few high school pictures, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you need to keep your beard, Dad." So I maintain it, and I always keep it. It's a part of me,
Congrats.
Thank you.
I've just got one question for you.
Yep.
Do any of your girls and your wrestlers talk about wanting to fight someday and ask you about that?
I have 1 or 2 that are interested, but I have a few girls that are interested in going on to college in wrestling and freestyle. And so I'm trying to, with the team of coaches that we have, look at some colleges and look at growing. But I do have 4 or 5 girls, a few that have graduated that come back and help the student body that are interested in training. And I'm going to make it available for my high school students off season, and especially during summer where kids fall victim to drinking and smoking pot. And, I want to keep them in the gym, training, doing wrestling, maybe a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and keeping them on the mat and helping them grow in maturity. And so I have a few that are interested. I don't know necessarily if I want to like push them to compete, but I would love to have them compete like in freestyle off-season or jiu-jitsu tournaments, just to help keep them fresh and keep them on the mat and keep them like they have a group of people around them.
What's the hesitancy to not have them compete?
It's just the sport is very challenging, and I think you're either born with it or not. You can't fake it. And so if it calls to you, then I'll be there and I'll help you in any way possible. But outside of that, I don't want to like push them towards, well, you should compete in mixed martial arts, because, you know, it's like it's very challenging. And not that they're not up for the challenge. I just I want to keep them focused on education. That way they can continue to grow. And so,
Thank you.
yep.
I don't want to stretch it out too much longer, but thank you for your time.
Yep.
You know, it was wonderful hearing you first come in and talk about how happy you are, you know, seeing your journey. You know, it's always been very inspirational. You've always been open. I think it's been one of the greatest things that people can take from your career and from your life. Listening to yourself right now, and you think about this journey and you look at the court that was just getting over addiction, would you ever think, or did you ever dream that you would hear yourself saying some of the things that you were saying when you first started this interview?
Oh man, you're gonna make me tear up, bro. Great question. No. I didn't give myself a shot. But the people around me believed in me. And the people that don't have access to the recovery that I had access to, that's who I fight for. To show them that it's possible, that recovery is possible, that sobriety is possible, and that you can achieve incredible things one day at a time without a drink or drug.
And I know right now it sounds like life is perfect, and now you have congrats on the 1-year-old that's gets ready to go. Do you still have the time? Do you still get a chance to go out and speak to people?
Yes, the McGee Project, my foundation, we speak in schools. I try to hit rural communities because they don't have as much access to treatment centers and, you know, the help that's necessary for people to get healthy. And so, you know, different places hire me to come out and speak to student bodies, to middle schools, to high schools. And I share my message of overcoming adversity, addiction. You know, of course, I have the highlight of the 23 UFC fights and the bloody battles, so I get some of the kids that are on the outskirts. And then after I get done speaking and then doing a little mitt session with my boxing coach, who's also in long-term recovery, kids come up and they open up and they say, hey, man, I need help. And then I have access to help, and I can get them the help they need right there. And so, you know, if people are interested in having me come speak, you know, they can contact the McGeeproject.org. We have a website, and they can have us come to their communities. And we do, you know, speaking engagements open to the community. I do like motivational speeches to, you know, high school and college teams, athletic teams, anywhere where addiction is prevalent. And with athletes most, you know, you get injured, you get prescribed some pain pills, you're bummed out because you're not competing, and you can fall victim just as easy as I did. I had a great family. I have great, wonderful parents that are not alcoholic. I have support. I was never neglected. There was no abuse, and I fell victim to it because I had the disease of addiction. And there's thousands and thousands, if not millions, of people that struggle with addiction daily in the United States. And so, you know, that message of overcoming adversity, my life story, you know, from homelessness, heroin addicted, to overcoming that adversity, surrounding myself with people in long-term recovery, and then fighting on a local circuit, making it through the juvenile justice system, the adult justice system, getting expungement, building relationships like with my attorney general, Sean Reyes, who's a close friend of mine, to speaking in high schools, speaking in middle schools, speaking at universities, and then becoming a school coach. It's just like, it's necessary and it needs to be talked about. We're in a pandemic right now, but I mean, how many thousands of people are we going to lose today because of accidental overdose? And it's, not very many people talking about that. And it's serious. And it takes everybody. It takes everybody, and it takes, everybody knows somebody who struggles with addiction. So.
And last thing, and I appreciate that so very much. And I know for most athletes, and especially in their sports, trying to get a title, trying to become a champion is always one of those great things you're always striving for. But to know that you're actually making a difference and knowing that you could actually save a life, is that a more important goal and something that you're hoping to get out of this platform more so than actually maybe a UFC title?
Man, 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I spoke at my first high school, and I had a young kid come up to me who was struggling with addiction. That kid's married. He works on an Air Force base. He had a little baby, and he keeps in touch with me. And as soon as that happened and he came forward and asked for help, like, I had already won. And so, the fights, the competition at the highest level in the world, that wanting to prepare and become the best I can be is just, a pin in my cap on top of helping inspire somebody to make a change and watching that change happen, watching my boxing coach reunite with his son. That is a beautiful thing to be a part of, to see a fellowship grow up around me. It is a wonderful thing. It is the highlight of my life, is working with an alcoholic and drug addict at the lowest of his time. And it's given everything of any value in my life.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.